I personally want to beeline towards General Sibiya. Let's speak about this man. We heard from him yesterday, parliamentary ad hoc committee. And let me be the first to say, I never want to judge a person based on how they speak or how they articulate themselves, right? Because you can be smart and then just not be able to speak in front of people.
Sure.
Maybe you get nervous. My man was sweating. So I asked actually what the problem is. But there was a question that was posed, which was about him taking a test and how well he did on the test. Shame. It turns out he failed that test. Now, I've got to ask.
According to him, though.
No, first he said, well, it's not an outright fail. Then they asked him, did you fail? Then he said, well, I'd say the results were positive. Then they asked him for the third time, did you fail?
Yes.
Then he said, I failed. So my man's failed. He even failed that question there. Right? Now, I've got to ask, this does not seem like a capable guy. Right? And I don't know why Masumula would have appointed this guy. Because Masumula, as the National Police Commissioner, appointed him in 2023. Was it June or July? It was July 2023. So he appointed him. And before that, Sibiya had he'd left the force because he was, well, I don't want to say suspended, but there was an investigation from 2015 that led him to be out the force. He challenged that. He fought that for 7 to 8 years. Then eventually got reinstated. When he got reinstated, they were supposed to pay him back all the money that he'd lost out on. But because he'd subsequently gotten a job at City of Johannesburg, they couldn't pay him for the years the City of Johannesburg was paying him, because then essentially the government would be paying him twice for that period. So they only paid him for the amount of time where he was unemployed. And he speaks about that as well. So he says that now he's been part of a witch hunt and that this is actually a fight for succession. Now, I'm not sure if that's the case. But one thing that is apparent, and Kusila Diko actually brought this up as well, is the fact that these guys are now using state power and state resources to fight their own battles. You heard, for example, Shadrack Sibiya speaking about when Khumalo was arrested, apparently General Mkhwanazi was infuriated because that's his friend, to the point where he says he sent them a Tupac song. Hey, I never thought I'd hear Tupac in Parliament, South African Parliament. But yeah,
we're going to be all right.
Bruh, we've heard lots of things. We're going to be all right. Do you remember the time where Mbuyiseni Dlozi was trying to quote Rick Ross? You bought it renovated. We built it ground up. Hey, that's an my MP. Hey. Anyway, I've got to ask you, how does it happen, again, that you've got somebody like Mkhwanazi who's seemingly more competent than the deputy police commissioner, and then the deputy police commissioner again, he's probably the worst of the lot. But Mkhwanazi is probably more competent than the national commissioner as well, for me, from what I can tell.
Does it not come back to what you just said at the beginning? That lack of articulation does not necessarily mean that I am incompetent. I might just not be able to articulate my thoughts as succinctly as Mkhwanazi has been, right? Perhaps because, as you say, he's been sweating bullets. He's nervous. And sometimes when you're nervous, guys, you have an out-of-body experience where you're not really sure whether you're coming or going. Yes, he has. I'm not defending how he's been conducting himself in terms of but I don't think it is fair to judge his competence based on how he's been articulating himself.
You guys. Fine. He doesn't even understand procedure. And there's nothing stopping him. He can come there and testify in his home language. There's nothing stopping him from doing that. No, Masamula, by the way, his testimony left a lot to be desired. But it wasn't as bad as Shadrack Sibiya's one. My goodness.
Yeah, he keeps contradicting himself as well. Because if this was a court, luckily it's not like the evidence that's being given is not like binding as such. Well, nothing's going to be...
Well, he can't lie because it's under oath.
Yes, true. But it's not like he's going to be, prosecuted or sentenced, so to speak.
Well, he could be.
When?
Well, if anything that comes out in his testimony is deemed to be illegal,
if that's
then he could be.
If the NPA decides to obviously...
Yeah, but the NPA can't sit there having seen the whole country witness a crime and not act on it.
We've seen this happen a couple of times.
No, if there's not evidence.
We have seen it
Even something as simple as perjury. If he's caught in a lie in his own testimony,
then it's going to be all of them. But what I was trying to say is that, on, I think, Sunday when he mentioned that South Africa has no crime intelligence, he mentioned a whole lot about the country not having crime intelligence, And then he went back to say, actually, no, I'm wrong. I withdraw that statement. And then, so these contradictions that he keeps on making.
Yeah.
So there's a difference between a lie and being wrong, right? So you can't get persecuted for being wrong. So, for example, if I make an opinion under oath and I say, Mpho's wearing a green dress, that's a lie. Like, dude, what are you talking about? She's wearing a red dress.
But what if I'm colorblind?
Now, that's the thing. So that's exactly the points I'm trying to make, right? Yeah. If I come back and I say, no, my perception of Mpho's dress was green at the time, you can't prosecute me for that.
No, you can't.
Yeah.
So this, to your question, he keeps making constant contradictions within his evidence that he's giving, and then it makes you wonder what is true and what is not true. So for me, listening to him, I've been confused all along, although sometimes it does make you think, like when he mentioned that dockets were in my presence only for, let's say, 3 months. But however, he had them for 3 years. Why were there no arrests made? Then I'm like, this whole
But even that doesn't make any sense, right? Because if I'm conducting an investigation, I can sit on the investigation for as long as I need to until I get all the necessary evidence. You don't give me a stopwatch and go, hey, Sizwe, you've had enough time with the doctors now. Why are they sitting with you?
From my perspective, I've interviewed him a couple of times, even when he was in the city of Johannesburg. And I even saw his press briefing outside of his house last week.
Yes.
He's a very confident man. So yesterday, when I saw him in that light, like contradicting himself and then stuff on his testimony and then the stuff on the evidence he's given to the commission and he's contradicting, I'm like, something is off here.
Towards the end, he was like broken. He couldn't even answer a simple question.
Yeah.
If you asked him like, yo, dude, is your name Shadrack? He wouldn't have been able to answer at that point.
What did he say when they asked him something about where are the dockets now?
But even that. So I don't understand, man. I don't understand why seniority for me is not followed in appointing the people that we need to appoint. That's the part I don't get, because there's evidently somebody there who, fine, maybe for some other reason he's not the one that people want to be national commissioner, but he's definitely more qualified than the two people that are his seniors. So give us a chance and let us know what your thoughts are.
You know what I like?
Yeah?
The beauty of this conversation is the T-shirt you are wearing right now.
Come on, what does my T-shirt read? Read it for me.
Your T-shirt reads raising hell. And that's literally what you're doing right now.
No, honestly.
You are raising hell.
Give us a chance and let us know. What are your thoughts? You heard these three men speak now before Parliament. Who do you have faith in the most?
Morning, Sizwe. Did you fail the test now? No, the test was not to fail or pass. Did you? Yes, I failed the test. Sizwe, your question, answer is simple. We appoint you because we're going to benefit. There's a reason why we appoint you. We're not appointing you because when some savings, we are capable. That's it.
Let me tell you something. There's nothing worse than a weak leader. Somebody's indecisive, doesn't know how to take direction, because essentially what then happens is the whole department ends up being a mess, because people come there, they'll convince him or her to do one thing, and then another person will come there, convince him or her to do another thing. You always need somebody who's competent and confident, right? On confident, rather, because the confidence comes from the competence.
The only person thus far who was well spoken was Azindaba Zakho bengatatazeli uyena umkhwanazi kuphela nje. The rest of them Nkosi yami, my God, akuhlangani nje, akuhlangani.
Somebody saying the only person I've got hope in right now is Hugo Bruce. South Africa obviously qualified for the World Cup, and South Africans are very, very elated.